CreepyCorner stories.
Hey everyone, welcome back to CreepyCorner stories. You know, diving into the dark web is always risky, but sharing these stories with you makes it worth it. I'm curious, where are you watching this from right now? Let me know in the comments below. I've noticed that these kinds of stories hit differently depending on where you are. It might even make the experience a little creepier. So, tell me, are you watching from the safety of your home or somewhere less secure? A TikTok trend led me to an abandoned subway station. The dark web claims it's a portal for failed alien-human hybrids. Alright, so I never thought I'd be one of those people writing on Reddit about some insane life-altering experience that sounds completely made up. But here I am, and I swear on everything I love, this actually happened. If you've ever scrolled through r/NOSLEEP or watched those creepy real story animations on YouTube, you're probably thinking, yeah, okay, another edgy creepypasta. But please, just hear me out, because this started off as a dumb TikTok trend and ended with something I can't unsee. So let's rewind a bit. It was March of this year. I'm a pretty average dude, 19, sophomore in college, live in New Jersey, but close enough to NYC that I can hop on the train whenever I'm bored. I'm on TikTok way too much, not even gonna lie. Like, I know people joke about being chronically online, but my screen time would straight up make my therapist cry. One night, around 2 a.m., I'm lying in bed scrolling, and I come across this video. It was grainy, like it was shot on a phone with a cracked lens, and had this eerie sound in the background, like static mixed with distant breathing. The caption read, "If you live near NYC, check the abandoned E19 platform. Only take the train between 3 a.m. and 3:15 a.m. It only shows up once. Work a portal through E19, subway, creepcore." It had millions of views. Now, I've seen plenty of TikTok horror trends before. Most of them are just staged BS or ARG stuff, but this one felt different. The comments were flooded with people saying things like, "It's real, don't go," or "My cousin tried it and disappeared," or "It's not a prank, they'll take you." What really got me though was a stitched video from a verified account, a guy who's big in the paranormal TikTok scene. He had a whole thread breaking it down. The E19 platform was real back in the 1940s. It was part of a test line for high-speed government trains that never launched. It was decommissioned and sealed off in the 60s. But some people claimed it had resurfaced for a brief period during the 1997 blackout. He even posted an old transit map with E19 circled in red near the Lexington Avenue line, except that platform doesn't show up on any modern MTA maps. Me, being the genius that I am, decided this would make a dope video. I thought, yo, if I catch anything on camera, even if it's just a weird rat or some sketchy graffiti, I'll blow up. I mean, it's New York. Creepy stuff is practically the default aesthetic. So I planned it out. Took the NJ Transit to Penn Station around midnight. Got a cold brew at Starbucks. Rookie mistake that only fueled my anxiety. Then took the 4 train uptown. I had to transfer twice and pretend I knew what I was doing, but eventually I made it to this creepy, half-lit station near 116th Street. Everything felt off. You ever get that feeling when you're in a public place, but it's so empty it starts to feel private? like the space knows you're alone. There was a broken down gate past the last stairwell, like one of those chain link fences that's supposed to be locked, but someone had cut through it. I checked my phone. It was exactly 3:07 a.m. I ducked through the hole. Now let me paint this for you, because the second I stepped past that fence, it felt like reality just shifted. There was this old tunnel, almost pitch black, except for flickering red emergency lights. Dust was hanging in the air like fog. I turned on my phone's flashlight, and the deeper I went, the more it looked like I wasn't in any normal subway system. The tiles on the walls were smooth, shiny, too clean. There were these symbols etched into the ceramic, like a mix between ancient cuneiform and digital code. At first I thought it was just graffiti, but then I realized they were glowing, faintly, like something out of a science fiction movie. At 3:13, the ground shook, not like a train was coming, more like a pulse, like something under the platform had breathed. I swear to God, I'm not exaggerating. I looked around and saw what I thought was a figure at the end of the tunnel. Pale skin, thin arms, and way too tall. But it disappeared behind the wall so fast, I wasn't even sure if I'd imagined it. And here's where it gets really weird. I heard the sound of a train, but not the usual MTA rattle. This sounded electric, clean, and high-pitched, like something charging up. A dim blue light appeared from the tunnel ahead. The train stopped in front of me. Except it wasn't a normal subway train. It looked like it was made of chrome. No logos, no graffiti, no doors, just a seamless, bullet-like surface and a thin red line that blinked along the side like a heartbeat. I took a step forward. That's when I heard a voice, not aloud, in my head. It wasn't speaking English. It felt like it was describing me, cataloging me. Subject, viable. Integration, incomplete. Observation initiated. I froze. My body wouldn't move. My phone shut off. I couldn't even scream. And then, just like that, the train vanished. Not like it sped off. It literally blinked out of existence. And the tunnel was pitch black again. When I finally got back to the surface, it was 6:11 a.m. I had scratches on my arms. My hoodie was torn. And my phone completely wiped, like factory reset. And the worst part, when I checked TikTok again, the original video, gone. The whole trend vanished, like it never existed. But that night was just the beginning. I didn't sleep for 2 nights after that. I kept telling myself it was sleep deprivation, that my brain had made it up, that I had imagined the glowing walls, the voiceless message in my skull, the chrome train, everything. It was a viral TikTok trend. My brain wanted to believe in it so bad that I hallucinated the whole thing. That's what I told myself, over and over. But then, weird things started happening. The first was the scar. A clean surgical line appeared on my right shoulder blade 2 days after I came back from the tunnel. I didn't notice it until I was in the shower. It wasn't a scratch. It wasn't from a fall. It looked like someone had opened me and stitched me up. No bruising, no blood, just a perfect, pale line, like my skin had been resealed. And then there was the smell. Burnt plastic, that melted chemical odor you get when a circuit board fries. I started smelling it in random places, my dorm, the bus, even outside of McDonald's, but nobody else smelled it. Not my roommate, not my friends, not even the workers. I kept thinking maybe I was having a stroke or something, until I got the message. It wasn't a text, it was an airdrop. I was at Union Square, grabbing a matcha from Starbucks and waiting for a friend. My phone buzzed, and I looked down. Airdrop request. E19 documented .mp4. No name, no profile picture. Just that. I hesitated, obviously, but curiosity overruled fear. I accepted it. The video was 2 minutes long. It started with what looked like security footage. Angle high, monochrome, time-stamped with a date from 4 days in the future. It showed a subway platform I didn't recognize, with someone standing at the edge. It was me, wearing the exact outfit I had on that day, standing completely still. My mouth was moving like I was whispering something. In the background, a shape emerged. Not walking, gliding, humanoid, but not right. Like a mannequin, someone stretched vertically and forgot to give facial features. It got closer and closer, and right as it touched me, the video corrupted. Just static and a screech that made my eardrums ring, then black. But here's the part that froze my blood. When the video cut to black, a new file appeared in my iCloud storage. Blue, room, access, granted. I never downloaded it. It was just there. I didn't even know iCloud could be accessed like that. It wasn't even a video or image. It was something else. Just a blue screen with a pulsating white circle. When I tapped it, I felt my entire body get cold, like internal organ cold, like something reached inside my lungs and gripped them. That night, I had the first nightmare, except it didn't feel like a dream. It started in a completely dark space. No floor, no sky, just black, stretching forever. I was floating, or maybe falling, and all I could hear was this clicking noise, like someone snapping their nails rapidly, over and over, thousands of snaps in perfect rhythm. Then came the voices, not like the first time, not like they were speaking to me. These were like whispering confessions, human voices, familiar ones. My mom, my friends, my own voice, saying things I've never said. We never wanted you. You're not supposed to exist. The trial failed. Then I saw it. The blue room. It's hard to describe because it wasn't a room, not in any normal sense. It was a glowing cube suspended in nothingness. Its walls were translucent, and behind them, something moved. Rows of what looked like hospital gurneys, each one holding a body. Some were twitching. Some were perfectly still. They were strapped down with wires feeding into their skulls. One of them looked exactly like me. Not a twin, not similar. Me, down to the scar on my shoulder. Same birthmark on the wrist. Same stupid hoodie, except its eyes were open and they were wrong. Too wide, no iris, just milky white with pinpricks of black light at the center. And then it turned its head toward me, even though the glass was solid. The voice came back. Subject 553-AX. Rejected. Clone unstable. Prepare for disposal. I woke up screaming. For the first time in years, my roommate wasn't there. I texted him. No reply. When I checked his Instagram, it was gone. Like the account never existed. I checked our old texts. Completely wiped. I started asking around. Nobody remembered him. Not even his RA. It was like he'd been erased. But not just physically, socially, digitally. His entire existence had been deleted. And then the man showed up. I was on my way to class, passing a construction site near campus. I saw a figure in a long silver coat, just standing in the middle of the sidewalk. Everyone else walked around him like he wasn't even there. But I saw him. His skin looked like it had been printed, like synthetic rubber stretched too tight. His mouth didn't move when he spoke, but I heard him. You are the deviation. They are watching. I blinked. He was gone. That night, I went back on the dark web. I know. Worst idea ever. But I needed answers. I had Tor installed already from a dumb crypto phase I went through. I found a forum called Echo Sleep, hidden behind 3 layers of dead links and password walls. The homepage had one line of text. Failed integrations are moved to the blue room. I found a thread with coordinates. They matched a disused entrance to the NYC subway system, somewhere near Roosevelt Island. There were only 2 photos in the post. One showed a spiral staircase with no railing, descending into darkness. The other was a blurry image of a hallway lined with what looked like metal tubes. Inside each one, something pale and distorted, eyes covered with thick black goggles, like sensory deprivation masks. The caption read, "They grow them here, but they don't all survive. Some remember." That night I got an email from a burner address. The subject line just said, "Run." No body, just an attachment. It was a high-res photo of me, asleep, in my bed. 3 things happened after I got that photo of me sleeping. I threw up. I checked every window and door in my dorm and realized they were all still locked from the inside. I started noticing the mirrors blinking. Yeah, you read that right. Blinking. It started with my bathroom mirror. I'd be brushing my teeth, and for a split second, the reflection would glitch. My face would freeze mid-movement. Or worse, keep moving after I stopped. Once, I leaned forward, and my reflection didn't. It just stayed back, smiling. I stopped using mirrors altogether after that. But you can't avoid reflections forever. They're in phone screens, store windows, puddles. One night, I was walking home, past a car dealership, and I saw myself in the glass, except my eyes were black, not like eyeliner or tired or anything, like jet black holes, as if someone scooped out my eyeballs and replaced them with ink. My reflection tilted its head. I didn't. And then it waved. So yeah, I was losing it. Or maybe I wasn't. Maybe I was already gone, and this was just the echo. I started getting nosebleeds. Bad ones. Like out of nowhere. Hot blood just gushing down my face. I'd black out sometimes for a few seconds. Wake up in a different part of the building. One time, I came to while holding a knife in the dorm kitchen. No memory of grabbing it. Just standing there, pointing it at the microwave, like it had personally insulted me. I had to get out. I needed answers. So I followed the coordinates from the Echo Sleep forum. I packed nothing. Just my phone, a flashlight, and a GoPro I'd bought for a skate video I never made. It took me 2 hours to find the entrance. It was hidden behind a crumbling brick wall near the Roosevelt Island tramway. I had to crawl through what felt like a sewage drain, cold water soaking my hoodie, something furry brushing against my neck. I prayed it was a rat. At the end was a rusted spiral staircase, just like the photo. The descent felt infinite. It didn't spiral downward, it twisted, like it was rotating through dimensions. Each step felt longer than the last. My legs burned, my breath fogged in front of me, and I heard voices echoing up the walls. Failure, failure, repeat sequence, memory wipe in progress. When I reached the bottom, there was a door, but not a regular one. It was flesh-colored, like skin stretched over a frame. In the center was a circle that pulsed like a heartbeat. The door opened for me. Inside was the blue room, but not like I saw in my nightmare. This was real. It was a long, curved chamber. The walls glowed faint blue, made from some smooth, non-reflective metal. Rows of pods lined both sides. each one filled with liquid the color of antifreeze. And inside, the pods were people, or something trying to be people. Some of them were still. Some twitched violently. One had no eyes, just a mouth, wide open, filled with teeth that spiraled into its throat like a meat grinder. Another had arms fused into wings made of bone. One of them looked exactly like me, but the skin was translucent, and I could see the organs beating underneath. One of them opened its eyes as I walked past. They rolled inside its skull like marbles trying to find purchase. Then I saw the mirror. Not a mirror. The mirror. 7 feet tall, frame made of coiled wires and teeth. No glass, just a surface of shifting black liquid that rippled and hummed. I was drawn to it like gravity. The moment I stood in front of it, it pulled me in. I wasn't ready. It didn't suck me like a vortex. It inverted me. It's hard to explain. Like my skin got turned inside out, and my bones became hollow, and my thoughts weren't mine anymore. I saw everything. I saw versions of me that never existed. One with a hole in his chest and wires growing out like veins. Another with fingers that bent the wrong way. Another who had no face at all. And I felt what they felt. Pain, constant screaming, no mouth, no language, just thoughtless, raw agony. And then it whispered something I'll never forget. You were not born, you were assembled. I blacked out. I woke up on a metal table in a sterile room. No visible lights, but everything was perfectly illuminated. There was a hum in the air. Not electric, organic, like a throat trying to sing. And then I saw them. 3 figures, not doctors, not aliens, not even people. Imagine mannequins made from muscle fiber and latex, with eyes like security cameras and no mouths, just holes where sound leaked out. Their fingers were needles, their hands were too many. They moved like they weren't touching the ground. One of them leaned over me and slid a long, glistening wire into my neck. No pain, just cold. Then it spoke. Emotion, curiosity. Result, failure. Process, mirror purge. Commence, harvest. I screamed, tried to move. Nothing worked. They started cutting, not blood. Light. Blue electric light poured out of me as they opened my chest. I watched, in full clarity, as they reached inside and pulled out something alive. It wasn't an organ. It looked like a small version of me, but insectile, shivering. It blinked at me. They crushed it, just squashed it like a bug, and I felt it die. Then everything went black again. I woke up outside a bodega in Brooklyn. No clothes, just covered in a thin, clear gel that evaporated in minutes. No phone, no wallet. My GoPro melted, literally, like it had been cooked from the inside. I limped to the nearest train station and sat on the floor until someone called security. Here's where it gets worse. When I got home, my room was empty, completely. No furniture, no posters, not even a bed. The door opened into nothing, like a black void. I checked my ID. My name had changed. Checked my birth certificate. Different hospital. I called my mom. A stranger answered. Same voice. But she said, "You have the wrong number. I don't have a son." I looked at my reflection in a bus window. It blinked again, and it smiled. You don't realize how loud silence can be until it follows you, until it stalks you like a living thing, curling under your bed, standing in the corner of every room, humming just behind the noise of your own thoughts. After I came back, if you can even call it coming back, nothing felt real anymore. I wasn't just glitched. I wasn't just broken. I was being rewritten. Every screen I looked at shimmered. People would glitch for half a second, just long enough for their faces to morph into someone else. Teachers I'd known for a year would suddenly call me a name I'd never heard before. I'd ask who they were talking to, and they'd stare like they didn't understand the question. Every reflection I passed had a delay, and the longer I stared, the further behind it would fall, until eventually it would stop mimicking me at all. It just watched. I stopped going to class. I couldn't risk being near people, not after I saw what happened to the girl on the subway. I was riding the L train, trying to act normal, trying to convince myself I was still here, that I still existed in the way the rest of the world does. There was a girl across from me, probably early 20s, headphones in, scrolling TikTok. Normal. Until she froze. Not like fell asleep. Not zoned out. Froze. Her mouth opened slowly. Her eyes rolled back, and she started whispering something. Her voice was layered, like two versions of her were talking at once, slightly out of sync. Exit access breach. Host identity mismatch. Initiating fold collapse. No one else on the train noticed. Not even a glance. Except me. And the second I looked directly at her, her neck snapped. 90 degrees. Just like that. She didn't fall. She didn't die. She turned to me with a crooked head, her mouth unhinging like a snake, and she said, "You weren't supposed to leave." Her eyes were black voids, but I saw something moving in them, like fingers pressing from the inside, and then her body rippled, like her skin didn't know what shape to be anymore. Her face split into three, reforming into a triangle of twisted mouths that spoke in harmony. Come back to the beginning. The room has been waiting. Then the train stopped. Lights flickered. Everyone else on the train just got up and walked off like nothing happened. When I looked back, the seat she'd been in was empty. No blood, no signs, no bent neck, just a faint handprint on the window. 3 fingers too many. That night I found the message. It wasn't online. It was under my skin. Literally. I woke up with pain in my forearm. When I looked, there were raised lines. Not cuts, not scratches, but engraved, like something had written under my flesh. I pressed an ice cube against it, and the words rose clearer, like ink appearing on paper. Iteration 553-AX/integration, aborted/physical host, unstable/redirect to origin, point/blue room, re-entry required. They were branded me like a defective product. But the worst part wasn't the message. It was the small circular scar just above it. Not a wound. A port, like something was supposed to be plugged into me. I broke down. I sobbed on the floor for what felt like hours. I wasn't scared anymore. I wasn't angry. I wasn't anything. I didn't feel like a person. I felt like a malfunctioning app on someone else's phone. An error message no one bothered to delete. Then the whispers started inside my apartment. Not from outside. Not through the vents. Inside. Coming from behind my light switch. From inside the walls. Inside the floorboards. Beneath the sink. Everywhere I went, the voices followed. Repeat the entry. Rebuild the memory. Become the vessel. Bleed for birth. And then came the dreams. But they weren't dreams. Not anymore. I'd wake up in a hospital room with no doors, surrounded by monitors that displayed my real-time thoughts. Every screen showed flashes of other people, strangers, but with my eyes, my hands, my voice, doing things I don't remember doing. One screamed into a mirror until her face cracked and bled. One stood perfectly still while her family begged her to blink. One jammed forks into her ears and said, It's too loud in the code. They were all me, or versions of me. And in the corner of every dream, watching silently, was a man in a black suit and a cracked white mask, like porcelain shattered and glued back together. His presence made the air vibrate, and I knew somehow this wasn't his mask. It was his face. I tried calling 911. My phone only dialed one number, E19. Every time I pressed call, a voice picked up and said, "Return." The final straw was when I found myself. Literally. I came home from a walk, and I was already there, sitting in my chair, in my hoodie, scrolling my phone. Same hair, same scar, same everything. He looked up and smiled. "I've been trying to reach you." I didn't speak. I couldn't. He gestured to the couch, like this was normal. "You're early, but it doesn't matter. Time's not real here anymore. Not since the split." I backed away, ran to my room, locked the door. He was already inside. Two of him now, both speaking in unison. "We remember the blue." I blacked out again. This time, I woke up in a room I recognized. The blue room. Again. Except it wasn't a lab this time. It was a cathedral. Organic walls pulsating. Pews made of bone. A ceiling so high it disappeared into darkness, lined with living cables that dripped black ichor onto the floor. In the center, a throne made of mirrors, and sitting on it, me. Or a version of me with no face. Just a mouth that smiled too wide. Its chest was open, revealing gears made of flesh grinding in rhythm. Its fingers were blades, and from its neck hung a chain made of teeth. It spoke with my voice, but wrong. Too loud, too slow, like underwater radio static. "Welcome home, ghost of the era. Your shell has been rejected, but your code can still feed the others." Then dozens of tubes slithered out from the walls, plugged into me, into my chest, my spine, my brain. I felt them copying me, extracting memories, pain, emotions, everything I thought made me human, and feeding it into rows of twitching clones, all faceless, all twitching violently in their glass wombs. The last thing I saw before passing out was one of them opening its eyes and smiling, just like me. "Are you sure you want it? Because the end is something I was never supposed to tell anyone. There's no easy way to say this, so I'll just start with the truth. I don't know if I'm still me. I don't know if you're reading this from the same world I started in, because I never left the blue room. Not really. What you've been reading, what I've been writing, it's not a warning. It's not a story. It's bait. But we'll get to that. Let me take you back to the moment everything tore. Not glitched, not warped. Tore. The moment they birthed me again. The mirror me. The thing in the chrome throne of bone and breath. It didn't just copy me. It replaced me. But the joke is, it didn't realize I was still awake while it fed. They thought I was fully sedated. They were wrong. Do you know what it feels like to be harvested alive? Imagine your thoughts being pulled one by one like teeth with rusted pliers. No anesthesia, no silence. Only the hiss of something wet and intelligent whispering directly into your soul. I saw my memories projected into the walls like home videos, except they weren't mine anymore. They were edited. My childhood wasn't real. My mother's face changed with each replay. First her eyes were normal, then glassy, then gone. My first kiss became a looping tape of me biting into someone's cheek, her face frozen in scream. They were rewriting me in reverse. Every personal moment stripped of emotion, reprogrammed with something blank, something obedient. And then, in the depths of whatever brain I had left, I heard it. A second voice, one deeper than thought, buried beneath all the implants and whispers and blood. You are not a victim. You are a gateway. I realized it wasn't just about making clones. It wasn't just about copying me. They were using me to open the others. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Every missing person in those hashtags, every urban legend and subway ghost story, they weren't stories. They were documented breaches, victims turned beacons. We were never being hunted. We were being grown, fed the idea of horror, of curiosity, drawn in through the screens, tricked into opening the doors with our own hands. The TikTok trend, it wasn't a glitch. It was a pulse, a digital trigger embedded in sound frequencies, layered in white noise, slipped into viral memes, buried in trendy dances and deepfake smiles. They found the frequency that made human minds bend. You ever wondered why some people get obsessed with weird content? Why certain audio trends hit different at 3 a.m.? Why watching specific loops feels like something's watching you back? That's not paranoia. That's broadcasting. And once you're synced, you're marked. A code, a frequency, a hatchling. I tried to run again. I made it to the edge of the chamber, my body half numb, wired, bleeding. But the walls weren't walls anymore. They were lungs. Every breath I took was someone else's exhale. And then, the others arrived. Not hybrids, not clones. The originals. You want a description? Number? You don't. But here it is. Picture a pile of hands stitched into a spinal cord. Mouths where fingers should be. Eyes on the inside of their chests, blinking in wet sync. Voices like a chorus of infants being drowned and reanimated at the same time. Their heads didn't have skulls. They had glass domes, each one showing a memory of mine on loop. They were made from my failures. Every moment I gave up, every lie I told, every flash of hate, violence, rage. I fed them. They grew from my rot. One touched me, just one tap, and I felt everything I'd forgotten, every erased trauma, every pain I'd swallowed, every repressed moment from years I don't even remember living. And then I understood. This wasn't about creating alien human hybrids. This wasn't about some shadow government experiment. This was penance. This was purging. They were harvesting the worst parts of humanity. The cruelty, the lies, the darkness we hide, even from ourselves. And they were giving it form. We are the content. We are the fuel. I stopped being afraid a long time ago, because fear implies you have something left to lose. I don't. I was eventually pulled out of the pod, not by rescue, not by escape, by transfer. I'm not sure how, but they uploaded me, some version of me, into the flow. They put me back online. I woke up on a park bench in Central Park, middle of the afternoon, people laughing, dogs barking, birds chirping. It looked normal, but I looked down and saw my reflection in the puddle next to me, and I was still in the chamber, still strapped down, still bleeding, still smiling. My reflection raised a finger, put it to its lips. Shh. And now I write. I tell the story, because that's the last step in the cycle. Once the seed has grown, it must be shared. You read this. You clicked. You followed the trail. You felt the tingle at the back of your neck, the static in your screen, the moment of silence that followed the last sentence. That wasn't coincidence. That was the blue room recognizing you. That was the others watching. You'll dream tonight. You'll see a subway car that's too clean, a chrome train that doesn't stop, a version of yourself waving from inside a mirror. And when you wake up, check your forearm, because if there's a small circle, smooth, pale, cold, You're marked now. You're next. We all feed the mirror. We all bleed the code. We are the feed. See you soon. Or see yourself. The dark web hosted a pop-up escape room in an abandoned mall. The final room was my childhood bedroom, but wrong. Alright, this is going to sound like one of those Reddit horror fiction tales, but I swear on everything, this actually happened to me. If I disappear after posting this, just know I tried to tell someone. I've got screenshots, screen recordings, timestamps, all that. If Reddit mods want proof, I'll send it all. I'm posting this on a burner just to be safe though. So this all started, like most dumb ideas do, with TikTok. It was around 3 a.m. on a Friday night, and I was lying in bed, scrolling through my For You page. You know the vibe. I just ordered a stupid amount of McDonald's, like $28 of nuggets and fries I didn't even want, and I was deep into that side of TikTok where the algorithm starts getting weird, like videos that feel illegal to watch. Weird. Not your usual raccoon eating grapes content. I mean the dark side. Glitch videos, hidden symbols in kid shows, girls crying in low-lit bathrooms with weird music playing in reverse behind them. Then one video pops up. Just black screen. Caption said, "Would you survive a real escape room built by the deep web? Limited slots. This isn't a game." And yeah, that emoji was in the caption. The whole thing was silent. No music. No jump scare. Nothing. Just silence for 7 seconds. Then it cut off. But what got me? The comments. Stuff like, "I did this last year. Still get nightmares. Don't click the link unless you're ready to risk it. The final room. It knows you. I found my brother. He went missing in 2019. Room 5 is different for everyone. Mine was the inside of my coffin. Like, TF? That last one got me real bad. I know most people on TikTok are just trolling, but something about the lack of music and how calm it all was made it feel too real. There was a link in the bio. Not a normal one either. Looked like gibberish. Like N4K1S8CZ.onion. Definitely a .onion site. For those who don't know, that's deep web territory. You can't open those with Chrome or Safari. You need something like the Tor browser. And yeah, I already had Tor. Don't judge me. I clicked the link, just to see. The site was basic AF. No graphics, black background, white text in monospace font. The header said, "Do you know who you really are? Real escape room, real consequences, real memories." There was a timer on the screen counting down from 48 hours. Below it, 13 spots remaining. Here's where I messed up. I signed up. Don't ask me why. I didn't think it would actually do anything. It asked for a name. I used a fake one. A phone number, used my Google Voice. And city. That's it. No email. No location access prompt. Nothing. I hit submit, and it refreshed to a page that just said, "You will be contacted." I forgot about it the next day. Went out with friends, hit up a Starbucks downtown, tried that stupid iced chai with the brown sugar cold foam that TikTok girls are obsessed with. Life was normal until Sunday night. That's when the text started. It wasn't from the number I gave them. It was my real number. And it wasn't a normal text either. It came through like a system notification, the kind of thing you'd get from your carrier or a banking app. You are selected. Arrive at 9 p.m. Redacted mall. Enter through service door B. Tell no one. It also showed my face. A photo. From that day. I was wearing my dumb Nike hoodie and holding my drink. I hadn't posted it anywhere. No Instagram story, no snap, not even in my camera roll. I never took that photo, so I'm freaking out at this point. I screenshot it, turn off my phone, pace the room, then eventually talk myself down. Maybe it's just a prank. Maybe someone I know is messing with me. But here's the thing. The mall they mentioned, it's been shut down for 8 years. The kind of place you pass on the highway with boards over the windows and graffiti everywhere. It got closed after someone supposedly fell off the top floor during some scavenger hunt. People say it's haunted. Classic urban legend. Anyway, against all better judgment, I went. I showed up around 8:55 p.m., pulled into the empty lot behind the mall. My heart was racing. No one was around except this white van parked near one of the old loading docks, door wide open. At first I hesitated. I took one step towards the van and then just stood there like an idiot. That's when a girl stepped out. She was about my age, early 20s maybe, with dyed red hair and huge round glasses. Looked like she worked at a Hot Topic or something. She smiled and said, "You're late. Come on, group's inside already." Then she just walked into the building like it was totally normal. I followed. Inside was pitch black, smelled like mildew and old candy, the kind of mall air you could taste. We went down this narrow back hallway, past broken vending machines and a water fountain that dripped non-stop. At the end was a red door with a keypad. She punched in a code and it buzzed open. There were 5 of us inside. Me, her, and 3 other people who looked like they came from completely different planets. One guy in a suit like he just walked out of a crypto meeting. A girl with face tattoos and half a shaved head. And a quiet dude who kept looking around like he was ready to bolt. We didn't say much, just kind of nodded at each other. Then the redhead girl pulled out a tablet and said, "Welcome to the extraction room. Your memories are currency. Only one of you will leave with all of yours intact. Solve the rooms or give up what's inside you. Permanently." I thought it was a joke, until the lights flickered and I saw a camera in the corner pan to follow us. She handed us masks, plastic, plain white, then pointed to a hallway covered in thick plastic sheeting like we were entering a clean room. As we stepped in, the door slammed shut behind us. The lock clicked. We were inside. The first room was normal enough. Graffiti on the walls, fake blood, a tape recorder sitting on a table. We hit play. A distorted voice said, "Welcome. You gave us your name. We already knew your secrets. Let's begin with trust. Write down something you've never told anyone, truthfully, or the lights go out." We all froze. I thought about backing out then and there, but when I turned around, the door we came through was gone. Like, literally gone. Just a wall. This was not a prank. This was not a game. And that was just the first room. Let me know if you all want the rest. I've got videos, voice memos, even something I found in my mouth after I got home. This goes way deeper than I thought. So, you're still here. All right. I guess you want the real story, the one I haven't told anyone. The part where it stops being a game and starts being something else. Something wrong. After that first room, where we had to write down something we'd never told anyone, it got worse. I wrote something, by the way. I won't say what, but it was personal. Something about what happened to my dog when I was 12. Something my parents never found out. The light stayed on, so I guess they accepted my answer. The second room was different. As soon as we stepped through the plastic curtain, the temperature dropped. I could see my breath. Inside this mall, in the middle of summer, in a building with no power, I shouldn't have been able to see my breath. And the smell, not the fake blood smell from before. This was rot. Heavy, humid rot, like a dumpster behind a seafood restaurant in July. Except it wasn't coming from a trash can. It was coming from the walls. The entire room was lined with these giant, flat panel screens. Some were broken and glitching out. Others were running what looked like security camera footage. I saw myself on one of the screens, in real time, looking confused. But behind me, on the monitor, there was someone standing, in a long coat, wearing my mask from earlier. When I turned around, nothing, just air. Another screen showed the red-haired girl who let us in. Only in this footage, she was screaming, tied to a chair in what looked like a bathroom stall, while someone poured water on her face from a black gas can. This is when we started realizing these weren't recordings, they were live feeds. And then the intercom kicked in again. Same distorted voice from the first room. Calm. Way too calm. Welcome to room 2. The memory harvest. You left your fingerprints on the web. We followed the crumbs. We know you better than you know yourselves. Then all the screens changed. And this is where things got really fucked up. Each of us had a screen showing our personal browser histories. I'm not talking about just recent searches either. I mean stuff from years back. Deleted accounts, incognito tabs. Stuff I didn't even remember looking up. Mine had things like, how long does it take to suffocate someone in their sleep? Where to buy untraceable SIM cards? Dark web hitman scam, or real? How to tell if someone is watching you through your laptop camera. I felt my chest lock up. I couldn't breathe. I never searched some of that stuff. Or maybe I did, during those dark, drunk nights, when your curiosity goes places it shouldn't. But even if I had, how would they know? These were searches from when I was a teenager, on an old laptop that got fried in a thunderstorm. The worst part, they had images too. Screenshots, videos. Me, lying in bed, eyes half closed, typing something into my phone. One showed me at 3:43 a.m., crying in my bathtub last November. I was wearing that old band tee I threw away because I thought it was cursed. Someone had been recording me for years, not just through my phone, through other devices. One of the videos was taken from my smart TV. I remember the moment exactly. I was asleep on the couch watching The Simpsons reruns. On screen, my mouth was open, snoring, and then, slowly, the image zoomed in on my face, like someone was watching it in real time and adjusting the lens. We all started panicking. The girl with the face tattoos backed into a corner and started screaming, like full primal scream. Said something about her mom showing up in one of the clips. Her mom died 5 years ago, but there she was, walking past the window in the background of one of her videos. The crypto bro started punching one of the screens, shattering it. It made a horrible noise, like metal twisting underwater, and then the room locked. The voice came back. Each of you has searched for violence. Each of you has wondered if you're capable of evil. Tonight, you'll find out. A panel opened on the floor. Inside was a pile of tools, not props, not plastic. I'm talking a pair of pliers, rusted but sharp, a scalpel still in plastic wrap, a crowbar, a stun baton, and a phone with only one app open, camera, set to record. There was a single instruction on the wall above it all. Do something unforgettable, or lose something unforgettable. A light came on above the guy in the corner, the quiet one who hadn't said anything since we entered. He had a look in his eyes like he'd already checked out mentally, like he knew what was coming. The girl with the red hair, the one who had let us in. She stepped back from the group and smiled. This wasn't her first time. She wasn't a participant. She was one of them. Then she pulled out a walkie-talkie and said, "Room 2 is prepped. Subject 4 has been identified for extraction. Initiate trauma feed." Suddenly, a section of the wall slid open behind the quiet guy. Inside, it looked like a nursery, but wrong. Like, picture a child's bedroom with alphabet letters and little toys, but warped. Letters were backwards. The blocks spelled out DIE and FLESH. The wallpaper was pink, but peeling, stained with handprints. The music playing was a slow, off-key version of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And in the middle, a small crib with a human shape inside it, covered by a thin baby blanket. Breathing. The guy looked like he was going to vomit. Then the screen behind him lit up. His actual childhood bedroom. The crib was identical, down to the scratch on the wall from when his cousin pushed him into the lamp during a birthday party when he was 5. He whispered, "How do they know this?" That's when the screen glitched, and the distorted voice said, "We don't know. You brought it with you." The girl with the red hair reached for the crowbar. No one stopped her. I didn't know what I was watching, or what was real anymore. Was this a memory? A dream? A ritual? She walked into the fake nursery, lifted the blanket, and screamed. It wasn't a baby. It was him. As a child. Eyes glassy, mouth sewn shut, still breathing, barely. And when he saw himself, he started convulsing, like his brain was trying to split in two. I swear to God, they were the same person. The girl with the red hair looked at him and said, dead serious, "This is your room. You made it. And now you either free him or become him." She dropped the crowbar at his feet and walked out. We watched him for what felt like hours, crying, laughing, screaming. Then the lights shut off. A minute later, the door to the next room opened. He didn't come with us. We never saw him again. If you're reading this, don't go near that mall. Don't click those links. Don't play the game. Because the thing about escape rooms, not everyone wants to escape. Some just want to trap something inside. I still don't remember walking into room 3. 1 second, I was in that rotting, twitching nursery with that red-haired demon of a girl slamming the door shut behind her. The next, I was somewhere else entirely. The walls were gone. The floor was black, not painted black, like a void. You couldn't see your own reflection in it. No lights, no texture. It just swallowed everything. And in front of me, floating just a few feet above the floor, was a mirror. Huge, antique, the kind you'd find in some curtained Victorian mansion in a horror movie, where the kids always say, "Don't look in it," and then someone inevitably does and regrets it forever. But this wasn't just any mirror. It breathed. I'm not kidding. I could see it. The glass swelled, fogged, and sank like a lung. I even heard it. A slow inhale, then a long, wet exhale, like something dying was whispering behind the glass. There was no voiceover this time, no cryptic instructions, no countdown. It just stood there, and I knew I had to look. When I finally stepped in front of it, I swear to God, my heart stopped. It wasn't me in the mirror. It was close, looked like me. Same hoodie, Same scar above the eyebrow from when I hit the corner of the fridge door as a kid. But it wasn't me. His head twitched in little jolts like a corrupted video file. His eyes didn't blink when mine did. And when I moved, he lagged just by a beat, a half second too slow, like someone was puppeting my reflection but couldn't keep up. But then, he started moving on his own. I stood perfectly still and watched as he raised his hands, touched his own face, and smiled. Then he leaned close to the glass, so close I could see the cracks forming in his iris, and said, without moving his lips, "We switched already. You just haven't noticed yet." That's when the glass shattered, from the inside, not like a crack from someone throwing something at it, like it was trying to escape out. And then I heard the sound, not a scream, not a growl, a whimper, like a child hiding in a closet while something terrible happens on the other side of the door. Then the mirror flashed, white light, blinding, and suddenly, boom, I'm somewhere else again. Only now it wasn't black anymore. Now I was in what looked like a hospital hallway, not modern, not sterile. Think 1970s asylum vibes, yellowed lights, cracked tile floor, peeling beige paint, that ammonia urine hospital cleaner smell that burns your nostrils. Along the walls were TVs, stacked, muted, playing footage of me, but not prison me. Me at my worst. Me throwing up in my dorm room after blacking out from drinking and crying into my hoodie. Me curled up under a desk during a panic attack at work. Me yelling at my mom when she tried to hug me after my uncle's funeral. Me staring at my phone, rewatching a video of my ex leaving a voice message saying, "I don't even recognize you anymore." None of this was online. None of this was filmed. But it was all real. Some of it I didn't even remember. Like the clip of me at age 8, standing in the corner of my old basement, digging my fingernails into the side of my neck, whispering something over and over again. The camera slowly zoomed in until I could read my lips. "Don't let him out. Don't let him out. Don't let him out." Then I looked behind me. The wall was gone. Behind me now stood a mirror again, but it didn't show me this time. It showed my room, my actual bedroom. Liv. I recognized it instantly. My tapestry, my LED lights, my laptop open on the nightstand, and lying in the bed, staring at the ceiling with bloodshot eyes, was me. Just like that reflection earlier. Same clothes, same face. But this version of me was sobbing silently. The lights in the hallway went red. Then the door at the far end opened, and I heard footsteps, bare feet, slapping on tile. I turned to run, but realized something terrifying. My legs didn't move. Like, not at all. My brain was screaming to move, but my body was frozen. That's when I heard it behind me. "You've been running for years. Let's see what happens when you stop." I swear to God, it whispered it inside my ear, like it knew the exact distance from its mouth to the point on my earlobe that would break me. Then it walked in front of me, and I finally saw it. It was me, but not exactly. It was like someone had reconstructed me from old parts, like someone took every version of me I've ever hated, angry me, broken me, spiteful me, hollow me, and stitched them together with wire. Its skin had cuts, not bleeding, just open, like an unfinished sculpture. The eyes were sewn open, literally, with black thread through the lids. Its nails were all chewed to the bone, dripping yellow fluid that sizzled on the tile. It dragged a phone charger behind it, wrapped around its throat like a leash. It walked right up to me and leaned in and said, "Do you want to know what it felt like to be buried in your mind for 12 years while you smiled and forgot?" It lifted one finger and touched my forehead, and suddenly I remembered. I remembered the thing I made myself forget. I remembered the basement, not a room, not a place, a night. It was summer. I was 10, and there was someone living under our house. I told my parents for months. I kept hearing whispering from the vents. They said it was pipes or wind, but I knew. And one day, I opened the vent in the basement to prove it, and something crawled out. Not a monster, not a demon, a person, a man. He looked like he hadn't seen sunlight in decades. His skin was gray, his nails looked like claws, and his eyes were all black. He didn't scream. He didn't chase me. He just smiled and said, in the calmest voice I've ever heard, "Thank you. I missed breathing. I never told anyone. I just blocked it out. But that thing in front of me, that wasn't just my reflection. It was him, still wearing my skin, still whispering through my vents. And now, he had crawled back in. The lights in the hallway all shattered at once. I fell backward and landed back in the mirror room, alone. Except, not alone. On the floor in front of me was a pile of clothing. My clothing, folded neatly, and on top of it, a phone, playing a video. It was footage of my mom, crying, saying, "He was here last night. I swear he was. I heard him breathing." Cut to police body cam, them searching my house, finding nothing. Cut to my best friend being interviewed. I think he's still alive. I think maybe he's trapped somewhere, but not like physically trapped. I think it's worse than that. Cut to a hospital room, a man in a coma, hooked up to machines, wearing my face, but missing his eyes, and the nurse in the video, the girl with the red hair, smiling at the camera, mouthing the words, "Welcome back. You still want more? You sure? Because we haven't even gotten to the final room, and I promise you, if this has been a horror movie so far, what's next is hell." If you're reading this, you haven't understood yet. This isn't just a story. This isn't a creepy Reddit post. This is a map. Every detail I've written is a breadcrumb. You think this was about an escape room? Number. It was never about escaping. It's about waking something up. After the mirror room, I wasn't sure I was real anymore. I say that with no drama. I mean it. Something inside me had cracked open like an egg dropped on tile, and I wasn't sure what was me and what had been poured into me. I wondered. No red-haired girl, no distorted voice, just flickering lights and the constant buzzing sound like flies behind drywall. Eventually, I ended up in the mall food court, or what used to be a food court. The tables were overturned, chairs stacked into towers like offerings to something that didn't believe in symmetry. The ceiling tiles were wet, and they pulsed, like something was alive up there, crawling above the grid. And then I saw them, the mannequins, hundreds of them, not posed like in stores, no elegance, no symmetry. They were slumped, twisted, contorted. Some were hanging by their necks from the second floor balcony with no ropes, just spinal cords pulled up through the ceiling. Others were sitting at tables with Happy Meals in front of them, their plastic jaws dislocated wide open like snakes, frozen in a scream too big for their hollow throats. And then they began to move. No warning, no music. They just snapped to life, like stop-motion puppets suddenly pressed play. They didn't come toward me. They went toward each other, and what they did, you don't understand. You think you know what I'm going to say. You don't. They began to eat each other, but not like humans, not like zombies, like children, kids trying to figure out how food works. They chewed wrong, sideways, cracked their own plastic teeth on each other's limbs, ripped rubber arms, and began suckling on exposed wiring. One mannequin drove its hand into another's stomach cavity, pulled out a speaker, and began biting down on it like it was meat. And the sounds? Worse than screams. They moaned, like they liked it. They moaned in perfect imitation of human pleasure sounds, like recordings stolen from behind bedroom walls. I heard my own voice moan from one of them. I dropped to my knees and vomited, but what came out wasn't food. It was paper, wet, bile-soaked receipts, all from different places I'd eaten in the past 5 years. Starbucks, Taco Bell, Arby's, even a Chick-fil-A in a state I never visited, all printed with one single phrase under every transaction. We know what feeds you. Then the lights went out, and the food court went dead silent, except for one sound, a baby crying. No echo, no distortion, just raw, helpless, real crying, coming from inside the Chick-fil-A play area. I followed it. I don't know why. I wish I hadn't. I pulled back the plastic curtain, stepped into the crawl tube, and was immediately surrounded by walls lined in teeth. Not kid-friendly plastic. Molars. Human. Some still had blood on them. Some had braces. The inside of the tube pulsed like a throat, and the crying got louder. I crawled forward, and then the tube shrank, crushed around me like a trash compactor. The plastic melted into flesh, warm, sweaty, veiny, like I was crawling through an actual esophagus. The crying got closer and closer, and then it was right in my face. I turned a corner, and there it was, a high chair with me in it, as a baby, covered in bruises, missing fingernails, mouth sewn shut, eyes bleeding black sludge that dripped into the plastic tray like syrup, and a voice spoke from inside the baby. Mom says you were the good one. Let's show her what a mistake that was. The baby lunged at me, and the walls of the crawl tube collapsed, folding in like a folding chair slamming shut with me still inside. Everything went black. When I woke up, I was on the food court floor, alone, except for the mannequins, which were now standing in a circle around me. Perfect formation, silent. Each one held a phone. Each screen showed a different memory of mine. One showed me at the DMV having a panic attack. Another showed me stealing from my mom's purse when I was 14. Another showed me holding a lighter in the woods behind our school, burning a notebook full of someone else's secrets. But the one that ruined me was a video I never recorded, a video of me standing over my ex's bed, watching her sleep, holding a knife. I never did that. I swear to God, I never did that. But the footage was too real. It showed the exact same pajamas she always wore, the crack in her bedroom window, the way she twitched when she dreamed, and the timestamp from 2 years ago. I screamed. I threw the phones. I smashed one on the ground, and it screamed. The phone, not the mannequin. The phone itself let out this blood-curdling shriek like it had a throat and soul, and I had just broken both. All the mannequins turned to me and started clapping, slow, sarcastic, cruel. Then, behind them, the food court changed. All the signs above the restaurants flickered, rewriting themselves. McDonald's became, meat, you know what it costs. Panda Express became, they died in the boxes. Subway became, you ate what she was. And then I heard her voice from the intercom. The redhead girl, no longer calm, no longer pretending. You made it to room 4. Congratulations. All of this was built from you. Every image, every scream, every room you crawled through is a map of your mind's worst rooms. But there's still one left. The final room. I heard a door unlock behind me, and she said, without a trace of humor, "You know what it is. You've been dreaming of it since the night he climbed out of your vent." I turned around and saw it, the entrance to the final room, and it was labeled in crude, dripping black ink. Your bedroom, but wrong. I didn't want to go. Every part of my body was begging to run, to scream, to claw my own eyes out. But I walked in because I needed to know. If you're still reading, you need to understand something. This wasn't a game. It was an invitation, and you've already accepted. I took the final step into the room. The door shut behind me without making a sound. No screech, no click. It just disappeared, like it was never there. And then I was standing inside my childhood bedroom. But it wasn't my bedroom. Not really. It was close, uncomfortably close, like someone had recreated it from memory, but not mine. Someone else's fractured, fetishized, rotting idea of it. And the more I looked, the more I realized. This version of my room had details I'd forgotten, stuff I buried so deep I didn't even dream about it anymore. The Ninja Turtle nightlight? Still there, but instead of glowing green, it pulsed red, like it had a heartbeat. The posters on the wall, my favorite cartoons, sure, but the characters were wrong. Their eyes were scratched out. Their mouths were stitched shut with real thread. There were toys on the floor, but they weren't the ones I grew up with. These were made of teeth. I mean it. Tiny teeth. Baby teeth, maybe, glued together into the shape of cars, soldiers, plastic dinosaurs. When I stepped closer, they twitched. They moved, like they remembered me, like they were excited to see me again. And the closet had been nailed shut, not with wood, but with bones, human finger bones, still bloody, nailed through the door frame, bent backwards like someone had forced them in from the other side. The air smelled like wet carpet and decayed milk. And then I noticed the carpet was breathing. Each step I took, the floor inhaled, and when I stood still, it held its breath. This room was waiting for something. It was watching me. Then the voice came, not through speakers, not from the hallway, from inside my own mouth. "You're finally home." I couldn't close my lips. My jaw had locked open like someone was inside me, using my own mouth like a puppet hole. My vision warped. The walls melted just slightly, like wax sculptures left in the sun, and the floor in front of the closet began to bubble. Something was underneath. It began to push up, a small lump at first, like a mouse moving beneath a blanket. Then it grew, and grew, and then ripped through. Out of the floorboards came a shape, a little boy, me, but not. His head was turned all the way around, backward. His eyes were in the wrong place. One was in the middle of his forehead, the other on his cheekbone. He didn't walk. He crawled backward, knees bent the wrong way, like he'd been rewound. And he was dragging something behind him, a skin suit, still wet, still warm. Mine. He stood, bent his limbs forward until the bones snapped back into place, then held the skin out to me like a Halloween costume from hell. And he said, in a voice that was exactly mine as a child, "You were supposed to stay gone. Why'd you come back?" I couldn't speak. My tongue wasn't mine anymore. It had turned into a piece of velvet ribbon, tied in a bow. He stepped closer, slid the skin over his body. Flesh smacked against bone, like someone slipping into a wet suit filled with meat and maggots. He looked up at me with the eyes he stole from my dreams and whispered, "You're the memory now." Then the closet door exploded. I don't mean it opened. I mean it detonated. The bone nails flew across the room like bullets, one lodging into my thigh so deep I dropped to the ground screaming. From inside the closet came a hole. Not darkness, not shadows. A hole in reality, like someone had cut a piece out of the universe and just left it open. Inside, I saw things. I saw my mom, younger, crying in the bathroom after I screamed at her for something she didn't do. I saw my ex standing in front of a mirror, whispering, "He's still in here," while pointing to her own reflection. I saw a man with no mouth, wearing my clothes, driving my car, sleeping in my bed, living my life while I screamed from behind his eyes. And then I saw me, dead, lying in a bathtub filled with tape, VHS tape, wound around my neck, jammed down my throat, bleeding out spools of footage from my childhood. The red-haired girl stood over the tub. She looked up at me, smiled, and whispered, "The audience liked that one." Then she pulled out her phone, tapped record, and said, "Welcome to the final upload." Back in the room, the boy had finished becoming me. He looked perfect, too perfect. He looked like the version of me that people loved, the version that said the right things, didn't cry, didn't remember. He walked over to my childhood bed and laid down, smiled at me, and the walls snapped shut around him like a coffin. Everything went silent, except the closet hole, which whispered, "Now you stay. Now you wear the room." I ran. I don't even remember how I found the door, but it was there, slick, alive, breathing, and as I touched it, ready to push through, I felt him again, the reflection, the boy, the not me. He was inside me now, wearing my thoughts like a costume, and the voice came again, inside my head, my own voice, but full of teeth. "You didn't escape. You just switched places." I woke up outside the mall, lying on the concrete behind the service entrance. No wounds, no blood, just a USB drive in my hand. I went home, plugged it in. One video, no title, just the footage from all 5 rooms, edited, stylized, with filters, with music, uploaded to a YouTube channel that doesn't exist anymore. The video had 11 million views, and the top comment was from me. It said, "Can't wait for the sequel. He's still in the walls." So now I live like this, afraid of mirrors, afraid of my phone, afraid of my own voice when I hear it in recordings, because I don't remember saying the things it says. People say I've changed, that I'm more confident now, more focused. They say it like a compliment, but it's not me. He wears me better than I ever did, and I think he's recording everything. If you ever see that TikTok again, the one with the black screen, the silent 7 seconds, and the comment about the coffin, don't click the link. Not because you'll die. Number. That'd be too easy. You'll live. In a room. A room built from the worst version of your memories, where something waits, wearing your smile, and blinking before you do.